was December 2nd, 2017. A series of events led to the death of 19-year-old Yosif Al-Hasnawi. But the night began at Cadillac Jack's, a bar on Main Street in central Hamilton. An elderly man exits the building. A minute later, James Matheson and Dale King walk by. They begin making fun of the older man. You can see a group across the road of the mosque in this surveillance video. Yosif Al-Hasnawi had stepped outside, having just finished a reading from the Quran. Yosif yelled at King and Matheson to stop harassing the man. The pair crossed Main Street to confront Yosif. Matheson punched the 19-year-old in the head. There's a chase down the road ending on Sanford Avenue South. King fires a single .22 caliber bullet from a gun. Yosif is struck in the abdomen. Moments later, he appears in frame and is helped to the sidewalk. Frantic, his younger brother Ahmed runs to the nearby convenience store for help.
Hello.
Need police fired?
My brother got shot. Tell them road.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, do you need police, fire, or ambulance?
I think there was a gunshot at Sanford in Maine.
Okay. Anybody injured?
I don't know. A young fella just come running into the Friday store, and I heard a loud bang. I don't know if it was a gunshot or not, but this young fella just come running in.
Police were notified as friends gathered around Yosif. A minute later, you can see cruisers approach. Constables Michael Zazella and Chris Campavari are the first on scene. Zazella testified that he saw Yosif on the ground. There was blood on his white shoes. The officer didn't assess the wound, but within seconds of arriving, used his police radio to say, quote, "Man down, BB gun possibly, minor injuries, superficial to the abdomen." That information was relayed to EMS.
We have a male that has superficial wounds to his abdomen from being shot with a BB gun, it sounds like.
A BB gun? Okay, are you guys on scene?
Yes, we are.
Okay, superficial?
Yes.
That leads us now to the moment the paramedics on trial, Steve Snively and Christopher Marchant, were dispatched. It was a code 4, the highest priority call.
Police are on scene with a male patient was shot with a BB gun. He's got superficial wounds to the abdominal area.
The paramedics arrived on scene at 9:09 p.m. and soon questioned it being a priority.
Just curious as to what the trigger of a 4 on this is, if a superficial wound.
After checking, here's the response.
Code 4, penetrating wound.
The next day, knowing that Yosif had died, the dispatcher, Janice McMeekin, called Marchant personally to voice her concern that he was questioning the dispatch. That call was recorded.
But it's hard when you're asking questions and I got 20 other calls to give out.
Like when we pulled up on scene, the police were there, the fire department was there, and everyone was just standing around this guy, and the fire department had a flashlight, just a flashlight on him. Nobody was doing a thing for this guy because nobody believed it was serious. And that was where the issue was.
Wow.
Because his vital signs were perfect. Everything was perfect on this kid other than why is he acting like a kid is what he was acting like.
The night of the shooting, Yosif's father, Majid, was inside the mosque nearby. He ran to his son's side moments after the paramedics first arrived. Majid testified through an Arabic interpreter that he spoke with Marchant. He told me to tell my son to stop acting. He says he was asked what substances Yosif was taking. I said no drugs. He's a medical student. That's when Majid told the court in English that the shorter, older paramedic, 55-year-old Steve Snively, responded with this: "If he's a medical student, he wouldn't be here." Yosif Al-Hasnawi was, in fact, a first-year student studying medical science at Brock University. Majid said Christopher Marchant would come close to Yosif, kneel down, lift his shirt, and he would check the existing hole. He would squeeze it with his fingers, and then he would cover him and leave. After witnessing this 3 to 4 times, Majid says the paramedic was in a standing position and lifted Yosif's legs, put one over the other, and pressed them excessively on his abdomen. And he did that multiple times. After that, I came over to Yosif and I told him, "You're going to be fine. Don't be scared. They're going to take you." He then told me, "I cannot breathe." Yosif's brother Mahdi testified that one of the paramedics said his brother should win an Oscar for his acting. Family and friends say they pleaded with the paramedics to take the 19-year-old to hospital. After 23 minutes and what's been described as tossing Yosif on a stretcher, they left the scene.
Hamilton 2036, or mobile 32 to St. Joe's.
Marchant asked to be patched through to the hospital.
Loud and clear, go ahead. A 19-year-old male patient who was shot in the abdomen with a pellet gun. He's got a small penetrating wound to his lower abdomen that's controlled.
While the General is the designated lead trauma hospital and slightly closer to the crime scene, paramedics transport Yosif to St. Joe's, a hospital used if the primary problem is a psychiatric emergency.
Patient's tachycardic at about 145.
Meaning his heart rate was rapid.
And extremely altered. Friends and family deny any drugs or alcohol, although he's acting extremely confused.
Dr. Andrew Healy was the emergency care physician at St. Joe's that night. He told the court that comment about a pellet gun provides me with no useful information because I'm preparing for the worst case scenario. But within 2 minutes, the situation became even more dire.
Patient's heart rate's about 45. He's non-combative. Hard to rouse currently. We'll be there in 2 minutes.
Dr. Healy said he was worried Yosif was dying. He's last seen here on this video. The ambulance arrives at St. Joe's. Snively, who was driving, comes around back and opens the doors. Marchant is inside with Yosif, who isn't moving. They begin pulling out the stretcher. The oxygen mask appears to come off. Marchant returns, grabs it, and puts it back on Yosif's face. They then go inside. Dr. Healy says we made a call to the blood bank to access blood, and we began virtually immediately by performing a thoracotomy, opening up Yosif's chest. The Crown asks, was this your only option? Dr. Healy says yes. The blood never arrived, but Dr. Healy said that wouldn't have made a difference. One of the Crown's expert witnesses, a trauma surgeon from St. Michael's Hospital in Toronto, testified that Yosif would have had a greater chance of survival had he been taken here to the Hamilton General Hospital and cared for by a specially trained trauma team. In an agreed statement of facts, Yosif was pronounced dead at 9:58 p.m. A mere hours later, on that recorded phone call with dispatcher Janice McMeekin, Marchant said again, everyone believed it was a pellet wound.
Even the police on scene, it was the entry wound was so small that it was like everyone on scene believed it was a pellet gun.
Right.
And then on the way to the hospital, everything went south.
In court, the Crown laid out their theory. Of the paramedics, attorney Linda Shin says their incorrect belief and assumption that the call and Mr. Al-Hasnawi's condition was not serious could not be shaken, no matter the facts they found on the ground.
I'm sad because kind of selfish, because I love him, I want him. But Yosif in a good place, and I have a good faith. I believe in Allah, I believe in heaven, and he's in heaven.
Yosif's father told the judge he was not satisfied with the care his son received. Upset, he approached Marchant at the hospital. Just tell me, do you believe him now or not? The grieving father, who just lost his eldest son, says he never received an answer. Nicole Martin, CHCH News.